4. Leninised. On the Oxus River, July 21st. When the alarm went, Palmer had just connected his firing plunger to the charges. The shock of the raucous braying of the klaxons, mounted on poles every few yards along the quay, made him lose his balance. He only just saved himself from falling on the plunger, activating the induction coil, and killing everyone in the port area, including himself. The Eagle, rushing to the main saloon, saw Lieutenant Gritkin at the radio, earphones on his head, left forefinger jabbing the klaxon alarm button. He must have had second thoughts and contacted his headquarters. Gritkin grabbed the grey enamel box on the table, the one marked Kush, as he saw Adam. Acting in reflex, Adam seized the box and drew his gun and turned to face the revolver in the Russian's left hand. They were both panting like fighting dogs. A dead heat. As Adam stood wondering whether he could risk rushing the man, a staccato shooting broke out on the dockside below. For a fraction of a second, Gritkin's concentration broke. His eyes started to move to the left, came back again, and Adam shot him through the heart. The noise of automatic rifle fire was more intense now. Adam smashed the glass in the central saloon's large dockside window and looked at the scene below. The lights were still on. 15 feet below him, the leopard man, Cadet Arif Kamarudin, was jabbing with his bare hands, stiffened in karate style, at 2 Russian sergeants. One was wielding a wooden pole, the other had stepped back to punch a fresh magazine into his gun. Holding the box by its strap in his right hand, Adam jumped. He landed on the neck and shoulders of the Russian with the gun. For a moment both lay there, winded on the concrete. Adam felt the sticky warmth on his hand which told him that one of them was wounded. As he sprang up, he saw that blood was seeping from a bayonet wound in the Russian's side. He had fallen on his own gun. The other Russian was looming now. Where was Arif? No time to look. The pole came swishing down, hit him a glancing blow on the cheek. The next thing he knew was that he was in the leading personnel carrier, being propped up on the hard seat by Zelikov. Arif, felled by his opponent, had recovered and jerked the man's legs from behind when the man was momentarily off balance. Zelikov, coming up, had dragged Adam back to the carrier. Adam fought the little Russian off and plunged back onto the quay. A whirl of struggling figures just outside the guard hut was milling, swirling and moving like a grotesque ballet scene. The Nuristanis and the other Afghans were dealing with the shore guards. The klaxons were blaring again. Over by the guardhouse, Adam could see that the 2 armoured personnel carriers which he had left to guard the entrance were fighting off troops who had obviously been rushed to the entrance. The Nuristanis had moved all the vehicles side-on to the gates, so that they could not be crashed through. It enabled them, too, to fire through the gun slits from inside, in comparative safety. The Jihun was overrun with brawling, struggling figures. Major Azambai and the Turkestanis, as soon as the alarm went, had, as arranged beforehand, made straight for the KGB men aboard. Confused by the Soviet uniforms of their attackers, the Russians had at first run in all directions, pursued by the wolves, who were now dealing with them with knives, guns, bare hands, belaying pins and jackboots. Most of the Russians were fighting back. Men soon lay sprawled everywhere, on the decks, on piles of canvas, on half-open hatches. One with a broken neck was wedged grotesquely upside down on an iron ladder, as if arrested in full flight. Adam shot 3 of the KGB men as he ran from fight to fight, helping the Afghans who seemed most hard-pressed. In 4 or 5 minutes it was over. Even the alarm no longer wailed. All was quiet on the ship apart from the groans of the wounded. Azambai ran up to the Eagle. "What's next?" "Get your dead and wounded to the APC's Yusuf and stand by," Adam said. He had seen that the Russian shore guards were flagging. The Turkestanis would soon have them under control. The main gate still held, but soon the Russians outside would bring up heavy guns, and probably rockets. He scrambled to the dockside once more, colliding with a reef who was running towards the men fighting near the hut. Stopping him, Adam picked up the document box, still lying there beside the two dead Russians, and told the leopard man to take it to the first APC. Then he saw Palmer, with a bayonet slash in his leg, staggering towards him, the long yellow electric line of the detonator between his fingers. "Leave it, Louis, too dangerous." They couldn't blow up the ship now, or they'd all go with it. As the last of the resistance of the shore guard was crushed, Palmer sat down groggily on a bollard. Bullets from the Russians outside the gates whizzed past, ricocheting with an ugly whine. He took no notice, gathering his strength. 2 minutes later, Major Hahn came running up. "There's no way into this area except through those gates. Everything else is blast-proof concrete. Everyone is defending the gates now. All other resistance has been overcome. What are the orders for withdrawal?" "Right." Adam looked around. The Major, Kasim, and Palmer were waiting. He turned to Palmer. "Louis, how wide is the river here?" "About half a mile." "That's the way we go, then." They all looked at him. "Swimming?" asked Kasim, incredulously. "The APCs are amphibious. We'll sail them out. Get all the drivers ready. The quay slopes down to river level over there to the left. Abandon the scout car, of course. Haraka, move!" Everyone scattered to the armoured vehicles as the Russians outside the gates stopped firing. A voice, speaking in Dari Persian, came from a loud hailer. "I want to speak to your leader." It was repeated 3 times. "Zelikov, get that bullhorn from the guard hut," said Palmer, whose leg was being bandaged by the little Russian. Zelikov brought it, and Adam moved carefully towards the gate. He put the megaphone to his lips. "What do you want, traitor?" "Aga-i Mukarram, honoured sir." The voice was oily and frightened. Some miserable, semi-literate clerk, typical of the scum that were fawning at the Russians' heels, thought Adam. They'd been given important jobs in name, but their Russian advisors had the real power. "What is it?" "I am Nassim, harbour master, and I want to have a dialogue with you." "A dialogue?" One of those new jargon words like norm. Adam could play for time. "Yes, we realise that you have some sort of grievance. I am authorised to say that we shall listen to it, and you have a guarantee of safe conduct and an amnesty if you come out and give up your weapons. Rebels have often been misled by revanchists." "Well," shouted Adam, "I'll have to think it over, and I'll talk to you again when I have consulted my associates." "Yes, by all means," said the voice, after a pause, no doubt to discuss matters with his Russian superior. "I am authorised to say that you have 5 minutes." "Make it 10. "Just a moment." Then, "Very well, 10 minutes. But after that we are coming in with tanks and heavy rockets and you'll be blown to pieces." "Tell Nikolai I don't like your threats." 10 minutes, honoured sir." Adam walked back to where his commanders were standing. "We've got 10 minutes. Do the drivers know how to transfer the engine drive from the wheels to the amphibious mode?" Azambai said, "Yes, it's easy. There are diagrams on the dashboards." "Good. How many men have we left?" 66. We've lost 10, dead. All the wounded can fight, so I've included them in the total. There are 30 of those." Adam turned to Palmer. "Louis, can we set off the charges without going up too?" Palmer smiled. "I haven't been wasting my time, Eagle. It's all hitched onto radio detonation now. We can fire it from as far away as 3 miles. "Great. I'm going to keep them talking while you get the APCs ready to swim. The command will be the Afghan proverb about the pigeons and hawks, which you will hear through the loud hailer. Have all drivers informed. Right. As Adam walked back to the corner from which he had spoken to the harbour master, he heard the distinct rumble of the huge T-10 tanks heading for the docks. At their top speed of 26 miles an hour, they could overrun the commando very quickly indeed. He raised the transistorized hailer to his lips and shouted, "Harbour master." "Yes, honoured sir. Are you surrendering?" They weren't going to offer any amnesty. It was simply a way to gain time. Better get out before the tanks crashed in. "I have this to say," Adam shouted. "'Tis always a kind with its kind will fly, pigeons or hawks up in the sky." Adam did not wait for an answer. He threw down the loud hailer and scrambled aboard his personnel carrier as the line of vehicles shot forward, over the concrete, down the ramp, into the water and away. They headed upstream for a quarter of a mile, nosing through the darkness, with their infrared searchlights full on and unmolested. "Let's have the fireworks show, Louis," the Eagle said. "I expect there are lots of Russians on board the Jihun by now." Seconds later, they heard the roar of the explosion and instinctively ducked as the pieces of wreckage, some very large, came thudding and drumming down onto the thick armour plate above their heads. The roof stopped them seeing the explosions, but at least they were safe. "I'm so glad it was the modern BTR 60 PKs we managed to get hold of," said Major Hahn, "because the ordinary 60s only have soft tops, you know. Some of that debris is really dangerous." "If I wasn't so pooped," said Palmer, "I'd run over and have me a visit with the Ruskies on their home ground. You do realise, don't you, that this is the frontier, and there's nothing but water between us and the workers' paradise?" "Don't send me back to the USSR," said Zelikov in mock terror, "because I like it in the woods. I don't want to be outnumbered by Turkestanis." Everyone realised that a joke helped to relieve the tension, even a poor joke. "There's worse things than Turkestanis, lad." The Turkestani Azambai was only half joking. The APCs, engines throbbing heavily in the fast waters of the Oxus, headed steadily westwards as Zelikov fiddled with the Russian army radio, trying to raise Dushanbe, the powerful transmitter in Soviet Turkestan. There it was, now on 1143 kHz in the medium waveband. "Inja Dushanbe, here is Dushanbe." Then Dushanbe, 150 miles away, announced the evening news. It was all about how in neighbouring, fraternal Afghanistan, the workers were glorying in their newfound freedom. Of course, said the silky voice of the speaker, true Afghans deplored the acts of the 2%, the insignificant but shameful minority, the troublemakers, egged on by international capitalist warmongering circles, who had made them think that they could reverse the tide of history, which Lenin had demonstrated could not be done. The great Lenin, Dushanbe was saying, though even the Turkestani commentator now sounded as if his heart was not really in it, and Zelikov switched off. "Well, we certainly Leninized them today," said the Eagle.